You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere. This is your WMDX Daily News Roundup for Mad Radio 92.7 FM and 1580 AM in Madison.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. There was a suspicious package found on the UW-Madison campus yesterday that was ultimately determined to be safe. An alert went out to the campus community yesterday morning telling people to avoid the Enzyme Institute. According to a press release, authorities from the Hazardous Devices Unit at the Sheriff's Office evaluated and said the package was not a threat. Shortly thereafter, people were allowed back into the building. And an update on that Amber Alert from last week. 6-year-old Ruby Lehman was found and her uncle was arrested. Now her mom has been arrested too. Ruby was found in the woods on Saturday in Plover. She was taken to the hospital. Authorities had suspected she had been abducted by her uncle, Jordan Coyle, and he was arrested in the woods. He has a history of sex crimes against children. Now, WAOW reports Ruby's biological mother, Chelsea Lehman, was arrested too, although police did not initially release information about charges against her. And there are some closures at downtown intersections this week, and it's not for utility work or to fix potholes. The city is installing art on the asphalt. West Dayton Street is closed at Marion and Bedford and Francis Streets. They're adding colorful art as an attempt to visually narrow driving lanes. The idea is to make it safer for pedestrians and for drivers to go slower. One study showed art projects like this reduced crashes involving pedestrians or bicyclists by 50%. This is all part of the city's Vision Zero initiative to end traffic deaths and injuries on Madison streets. They're going to compare data from that area before and after the art. The project cost $69,000, and the money comes from Vision Zero federal grant funding. Local artist Bernie Witzak is leading the installation. All of West Dayton Street will be back open with its new look Friday at 4 o'clock. A new program is helping support the people who care for some of our most vulnerable. Healthcare workers are increasingly burnt out, especially after the pandemic started. Data from the CDC shows nearly half of all healthcare workers are feeling burnout, and that number has risen by at least 14% since 2018. The National Academy of Medicine says it's a crisis. In the NICU, there are special challenges as doctors, nurses, and support staff take care of our tiniest citizens. Grace Long is a registered nurse in the NICU at American Family Children's Hospital. As much as she loves the work, she's felt that burnout firsthand.
As a level 4 NICU, we see the sickest of the sick, right? We see, babies and families on their very worst days. We see these incredibly complex diagnoses. And so it can be really, really challenging and overwhelming.
The nursing leaders at American Family Children's NICU talked to new nurses to ask what kind of support they needed. And they ended up creating a new program where new nurses are all given mentors. Plus, all nurses get to work 2 virtual shifts per week now, where they can provide support, talking to families, consulting with a nurse who has questions, or helping with one of the biggest time sucks of patient care, all the documentation.
So we're able to ask the family the admission questions, or they can pull us up and kind of put us at the head of the bed and just holler out vital signs for us to document.
Before starting this program, there was a 38% turnover rate for new nurses in their NICU. And in the first year, they had no turnover at all.
It's really great when we can keep them on and keep them passionate about things and keep them feeling safe. It's so rewarding.
Other organizations could even follow American Family Children's lead. The NICU nurses recently presented the new program at a national conference. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
Brewers baseball tonight. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Brewers open a 3-game series tonight against the Los Angeles Angels at American Family Field. Milwaukee with a 5-game lead over the Cubs in the NL Central. The Angels are in last place in the American League West, 13 games behind the Mariners. NFL. Matt LaFleur says the Packers' 10 penalties last Thursday night were far too many.
We went into the game We knew that the penalties were going to be a big part of the game, and we had far too many. So obviously the first drive, it negated a touchdown, and then we had pre-snap penalties. You don't want any of those. We had a couple pre-snap penalties. We had a couple penalties on special teams that really played a big impact on field position.
The Packers play the Browns in Cleveland on Sunday. The Minnesota Vikings will be without their quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, the next 2 to 4 weeks. McCarthy suffering a high ankle sprain during their loss to the Falcons on Sunday night. Carson Wentz will take over at quarterback. With Sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. The 77th Emmy Awards are in the books, and there was big news from the event. Probably the biggest story was HBO's The Pit winning Outstanding Drama Series. Star of the show, Noah Wyle, also took home a Best Actor award, and The Pit's Catherine Lanasa won Best Supporting Actress. Another big story of the night was the Netflix show Adolescence, which won 6 Emmy Awards, 3 of which went to Stephen Graham for acting, writing, and producing. Apple TV's The Studio won 4 Emmys, including Best Comedy Series. Britt Lower of Apple TV's Severance got her first Emmy off her first nomination and took home the Best Actress in a Drama Series. Jean Smart took home her 4th Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series for her role on Hacks. Smart has picked up a total of 14 Emmy nominations over her impressive career. 15-year-old Owen Cooper became the youngest recipient ever for his role in Adolescence. He was excellent. Rainn Wilson appeared on the Last Laugh podcast last week and said he felt that at times the show The Office went too far with racial and sexist jokes. Wilson, who played Dwight Schrute, said they could never get away with some of the jokes now. Wilson also said that NBC ultimately passed on a spinoff which would have starred the Dwight Schrute character and would have been set on his character's beat farm. The show would have been called The Farm. News from the Emmys, Stephen Colbert presented the Best Lead Actor in a Comedy Series. Beforehand, Colbert jokingly asked when he got behind the mic if anyone was hiring. Colbert will exit The Late Show in May of 2026. Colbert also joked that he brought his resume and showed the crowd his old headshot. The Late Show host was visibly moved when the crowd started chanting Stephen. Great guy. And by the way, Best Lead Actor in a Comedy Series went to Seth Rogen for The Studio. If this past weekend box office earnings are any indication, anime has completely arrived. Demon Slayer Infinity Castle found itself at the top of the box office with a $70 million opening weekend. Its opening day take of $33 million was the highest opening ever for an anime film. Last week's number 1 film, The Conjuring Last Rites, held off 3 challengers for the number 2 spot and a take of $26 million. The 3 new releases include Downton Abbey, which brought in $18 million big ones in its first week of release to finish at number 3. The Stephen King-inspired The Long Walk pulled in $11.5 million over the weekend. The film is based on King's first novel of the same title. And in 5th place was sort of a new release, or more accurately, a new re-release, as Toy Story brought in over $3 million on over 200 screens, giving it a massive haul of $195 million, dating back about 30 years. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
It is going to be mostly sunny and warm again today. We'll get to around 85 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, clear. We'll drop to 62 for a low. Tomorrow, more sunshine with a high right around 85. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it is 60.
That's your WMDX Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at mad.radio. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.